neighborhood champion boxing in sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. Errol Spence has a fight coming up with Yugas. Unless you've been living underneath a rock, you didn't know that. But I'm going to assume you do. But the thing with this fight, a lot of people are getting it wrong. About Errol Spence, he had to pull out the Pacquiao fight because of an injury to his eye. And there are a lot of people who seem to be getting Errol Spence and Kell Brook and some of these other fighters mixed up as far as the injury to their face. First, Errol Spence did not have a broken orbital bone. Okay, so let's just get that out the way. I keep hearing, some of the articles I'm reading and some of the interviews and some of these chat rooms, people are arguing over whether he had a broken orbital bone or a detached retina. What Errol Smith had was a detached retina. He incurred the injury during sparring, and he ended up sparring an additional 5 rounds. Went back for sparring, I think, a couple times that week, and just noticed there was something wrong with his eye. Ended up going to see an eye specialist. Long story short, determined he had a detached retina, and the eye specialist decided, and I'm not sure if it was an optometrist or who it was, but he just keeps saying eye specialist. Only eye specialist I know is an optometrist. So he ended up saying that the specialist told him he could not fight. If he was a fight, he'd risk losing his sight indefinitely. As a result, he pulled out. Now, there are a lot of people who are concerned about the time that it's taken for him to heal, and worrying that if the injury to that eye is going to resurface once he gets hit in it in the fight with Yugas. Now, I can tell you this. Errol Spence has been doing a lot of very hard sparring, very, very heavy sparring. A lot of his sparring partners are better than a comeback fight type opponent. So that lets you know that he's in there and he's banging with some hard hitters, some highly skilled sparring partners. And he hasn't had any issues with the eye. Errol Spence has gone on to say that he has 2 anchors holding that retina into place. Now, when he says anchors, I try to do some research. They refer to the different sutures to anchor down the retina. So, and then those eventually can dissolve. So I don't know when he's saying he has 2 anchors holding that retina into place. I'm not sure what he's alluding to, but believe you me, whatever he had done to repair that detached retina, that eye is much better than it was before the injury, and it's much better than his other eye, which is healthy. So going into the fight, I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. Errol Spence, he is focused, and so is Yugas. But my concern is, I was watching Yugas fight Pacquiao, and I was watching Spence fight Peterson, and Spence fight Porter. There are going to be opportunities for Yugas with his pinpoint accuracy. There's going to be opportunities because Spence comes forward for Yugas to exploit Spence's aggression. It's just Spence will overwhelm you with his work rate. But it's going to be interesting to see if there's what's going to happen, when Spence really starts taking those shots over and over without headgear, without 16-ounce gloves like they do in sparring. It's going to be interesting to see, but I just don't think it's going to be an issue, because if it was, Spence wouldn't be going forward with this fight. Errol Spence is a totally different human being now after the car crash. He sees life different. He's no longer caught up in the hustle and bustle. This man lives on a farm now. He's got a bunch of animals, and his sole focus right now is his children and his family. After that will come boxing. And he has his priorities in the right place. He's no longer ballooning up 30, 40 pounds in between fights, not going to the gym for 2-3 months. He's living the life of a boxer, and it shows in his physique and I think he's kind of, limited the alcohol intake to kind of in moderation, kind of special occasions, a festive type deal, which is good because I mean, if you, it's I was listening to Danny Garcia talk once, and he was talking about your body and being an athlete, and basically it's like a vehicle. What kind of fuel are you going to put in that vehicle if you want an optimal performance? And the same thing with your body as an athlete. How are you going to feel it to get the optimal performance? And fast food and alcohol and all those things is not what you need. So even if it's in moderation, to me, athletes should just refrain from any of that stuff if they want to perform at the highest level. So really looking forward to Errol Spence. Looks like the eye is more than 100%. I did a little research on the procedure that he had to have done. It looks like something that's pretty straightforward, but he had to actually sit out for about 5 weeks or so. I'm not sure. He said he didn't say if he sat out the 5 or he sat out more, but I do know he wasn't allowed to lift any weights. He wasn't allowed to run. He wasn't allowed to do too much standing. He was just basically allowed to kind of walk, get to where he's going, sit down. Because everything that we do creates a strain on your eyes. From a sneeze, a yawn, lifting something up, standing, bending, that creates strain on your eyes. And it's just amazing how the body is so inextricably connected with almost everything you do affecting different parts of your body. And that was the hardest part about having a detached retina, is the recovery process and not being able to lift up anything heavy, not being able to train, not being able to jog, and just having very limited movements. But all of that is blown over. He's back in training and he's looking good and looking forward to the fight. So for those of you out there who are concerned about Errol Spence and his eye, don't be. He's not. The doctors aren't. His team isn't. His sparring partners aren't. He's been actually in there pushing himself, getting hit, just to see how the eye will respond, how his body will respond. And so far, so good. Looking forward to the fight. The fight is going to be interesting because Ugas is very confident and he's training hard too. They both know what they're up against, and Ugas can win this fight. Ugas has the whole of the Caribbean behind him, man. It's not just Cuba. He has Puerto Rico. Even Felix Trinidad came out saying that they believe Ugas is going to make us all proud. He has Venezuela. He has Dominican Republic. He has so many of these Spanish-speaking countries behind him. And that's going to fuel him to get in there and perform, especially after finding out that now Cuba is going to allow their boxers to fight professionally. So we're going to see, what happens in the next few months with that, and different boxers out there looking to maybe, breathe life back into their once dormant career now that Cuba's allowing their boxers to become professional. That being said, Errol Spence, looking forward to the fight between him and Ugas. It's going to be a good one. Shout out to all the veterans. Everybody keep safe. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And as always, I'm in the breeze.